Welcome to the Airmen Helping Airmen Podcast. I'm your host, Kaleth Wright, CEO, Air Force Aid Society. Join me as we chat with extraordinary guests, share stories, and learn how amazing people are making a difference in the lives of so many Air Force and Space Force families. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Airmen Helping Airmen Podcast. I am Kaleth, your CEO for Air Force Aid Society. And of course, as always, I have a very special guest with us today. I want to introduce you to Jay Salters. Now, Jay is the founder and CEO of Act Now Education. And we'll talk a little bit more and have him talk about a little bit more about Act Now Education here in a second. But he's also a career military naval officer. So looking forward to hearing more about the things that you're doing with Act Now Education and education for service members in general. And appreciate not only your service to this nation, but again, your service to the educational endeavors of our service members. So Jay, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kaleth. I appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah. It's good to have you, man. And it's great to see you. And I'm kind of intrigued initially. Let's talk before we get into your organization. Let's talk about your career in the Navy. So what made you join the Navy?
So what made me join the Navy was education, and it has all to do with education, actually. What made me join the Navy was when I graduated high school, I didn't have the best grades, and I didn't really understand the value of education. Nor did I understand about research and things that I need to do. I came from a single parent home. So essentially, when it came to applying for school and colleges, I had to kind of figure that out. So it was almost like last moment. I filled out some applications and I went down to the community college. And once I handed in my paperwork and it was like, tuition is going to be about $16,000. And I was like, $16,000 for a community college? I was like, because I'm from New York City. I was like, $16,000. I was like, I can't afford that. I was like, there's no way that I want to accumulate that much debt without any way of paying it, because I knew the job that I had at the time wasn't going to cover it. So I went down to a recruiter's office and seeing what the options were, because I understood the military would pay for school. That was the whole purpose of me joining, to kind of get that paid for. And funny enough, I went through a couple of years, 6-7 years before I actually even earned my degree. But that's originally the reason why I joined.
Okay, good. And it seems like things have turned out really well. You've continued, obviously, to be an advocate for education, and so glad you went to see that recruiter, man. And so tell me about your military career in the Navy. So what's your background? How have you been spending your time since you've been in the Navy?
Okay, so I originally enlisted into the Navy, and I pretty much was looking for whatever opportunity. There was a bunch of different things that I was interested in. However, I didn't qualify for none of them. My ASRAP score was pretty low. It was a 42. And I was like, man, I don't really know what I can choose. So I ended up taking advantage of this opportunity that allowed me to apply for a AFC or a higher MOS that was above my ASRAP score, and I qualified for it. So I took that, and then I became a cryptologic technician. Collection was the CTR, and started my journey of learning about signals, learning about communication, learning about radio wavelength. And it was a great opportunity. I got to do a lot of things in the beginning of my career, which then turned to me being commissioned as a naval officer. I'm an LDO, Mustang, for those who are limited duty officers. So someone that has previous experience as a listening community when I made chief, and then I crossed over to being an officer.
Okay, that sounds good. Congratulations again on all your successes in the Navy. I tried to get commissioned about halfway through my career, man, and they told me no. And so I had to keep being enlisted, but I enjoyed my time. Hey, so you're going along. You got this great military career. You got commissioned and whatnot. And about 10 years in, you decide to, you founded the Act Now Education. So tell us about Act Now, and what led you to discover this or start this organization, and what do you do?
So for the Act Now community, when I originally started it, was I was almost close to my 10-year mark before actually putting in my officer package or anything like that. And I was considering like getting out of the military. I knew at the time, I had a security clearance, but I was almost completed with my associates, didn't have my bachelor's just yet, but I was looking and comparing myself to, my civilian counterpart. What are the things they have that, help set them apart from me? I know I have some experience, but will that experience, translate over? So I was like, if I'm planning on getting out, I need to best prepare myself for that opportunity and see what's out there. So I started looking into different resources that were available to kind of give myself a leg up. The first thing I ran into was the COOL program. So everyone has a COOL program, Army COOL, the Army CA program, the Air Force COOL, Navy COOL, Marine COOL program. So I took advantage of that. I signed up for my first certification, trying to figure out the details of it. And believe it or not, the certification was it was an anti-terrorism certification. It's a company that had about 3 different certifications. And so I fill out this application, get the material so I can learn from it, right? And then I submit it, and I get the documentation back with the certification saying that, congratulations, you completed the certification. I was like, I didn't do anything. All I did was fill out the application. But on the application, it says your job deals with more, like if you're currently active duty and your job deals with anti-terrorism in any form, shape, of matter, then you can get the certification without actually having taken the test. So before I go to the test, now I got all this swag from the organization and the certification. I was like, that wasn't as difficult as I thought it was. So that just opened up the game for me. So I started looking into other options, what was available. I got my federal license from the FCC. That's pretty much, if you go there now, I think it's called radio telephone operator. Essentially, with that certification in particular, all the information is online. So I try to look up a book. I try to look up any resources I can find. Couldn't find anything. I end up calling the organization and say, hey, I'm interested in this federal certification. What do I need to do? She says, go on the website. I was like, okay, I'm on the website. She's like, all right, go down to exam question pools. So I go down to exam question pools, and the answers, like the questions, are there in the document. And then she's like, scroll down some and you'll see the answers. And I was like, okay, so this is kind of like how I would prepare to take the test. You're like, no, those are exact questions that you'll see on the test. I was like, okay, all right, well, 2 for 2, then I'm going to knock this out. And then I started doing other certifications, Security Plus, Network Plus, harder certifications. But COOL started me off and provided that opportunity. And then I realized a lot of service members were transitioning without that information. So I started providing that information in the form of a presentation, putting out everything that I knew about these certifications and opportunities that were out there. And a lot of people took advantage of them. And that's kind of how Act Now education started.
Okay. And so is it primarily for transitioning service members, or is it, or do you provide resources for military members in general who may be, trying to get commissioned or just furthering their education?
The military community in the whole.
Okay.
It's about 40,000 different resources out there for the military community, whether it be spouse veterans, active duty, reservists. And so what we try to do is we highlight those resources and put them out. That way people can take advantage of them. There's things that for active duty currently that they can take advantage of while they're like COOL, Air Force has Udemy. If you guys are not signed up to Udemy and you're in Air Force, you're doing something wrong. Make sure you sign up for that free account for Udemy. That's awesome. Other services don't do that.
Yeah.
You have just a bunch of different programs you could take advantage of. So that's why we put that out, just to kind of highlight that. And our group, Act Now, the Facebook group, we share all that information. We share it on our page, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah. So how did you go? So you went from some self-discovery. Hey, I realized that these education opportunities are there. There's probably other people who would love to know about many of these opportunities. So you created a presentation, but how did you get from there to, being the president and founder and CEO of this full-blown business?
So believe it or not, I would do the brief as often as I could. My first brief was pretty bad. I'm not a public speaker, so I felt really horrible because I was like trying to present this material and didn't know how to go about it. But I had my mentor at the time, my senior chief, was like, Jay, I know that was kind of rough for you, but you're going to do it again. And you're going to keep on doing it. And so I was like, nah, see, you see what just happened. I got not destroyed, but it wasn't as smooth as it should be. He was like, that's what you're going to do. You're going to keep on doing this and providing this presentation. So I kept on doing it. I went to different commands, provide this information. A lot of people gave really positive feedback. And then from there, I end up being awarded the Spirit of Bob Hope Award because of the presentation and putting the information out. And then a lot of people were taking advantage of how to knock out their degree. Because I was talking about a couple of different things. I was like, how you can knock out your bachelor's degree within a short amount of time, anywhere from 6 months to a year, based off of using your military college or your transcripts from your military transcripts, and then also taking advantage of CLEPs and Dante's. And then you would just have to focus on your major courses from whatever institution you're going to. But a lot of information like that was putting that out. It got a lot of rave reviews. A lot of people were taking advantage of it, knocking out certifications, getting their degrees done. And then, it turned into me doing this like full time almost outside of work. So it didn't really kick off for us as far as Act Now, because that was, like I said, for a long time, it was just mainly off of social media as just a presentation. I would say 2 years ago is when it kicked off for us on social media, because people were like, hey, can you put some more of this information out there? Because I'm not able to attend those presentations. And then I went from, me doing it to having a team of 26 people, pretty much within like a few months. And now we're going at it strong, providing information and resources to those who need it.
Yeah, man, I think that's just an amazing thing that you guys are doing. I'm interested in, and I would assume most of our audience is also interested in, so you're doing this and you have a very successful business, but you're also in the midst of your military career. So, how do you find the balance or the harmony, to make sure that you have, your priorities when it comes to your career, your family or other interests, as well as the Act Now education? What's the secret sauce, man?
The secret sauce, yeah, definitely. I'm still trying to figure that out. Well, I would say, like, when it comes to a lot of stuff, we try to strive for balance, right? And it's hard to be in the military and try to strive for balance. Every day is different. There's, a lot of things that you may have to do someday, and how to weigh that in. So I would say what the goal would be is try to find some harmony, because it's not going to be balanced. Been at this for a minute and I've been trying to get it balanced, but it's harmony. So understanding that give and take and that ebb and flow. So for me, it's mainly giving myself, set tasks, set goals to complete within the week, related to Act Now education, things that I'm doing with my family. And then for my work schedule, depending on what I'm doing, making sure that I go after that. I grind on each of those things, and I make sure that I try to stay ahead of it, because I enjoy what I do for my country. And I definitely like giving back is a passion of mine. So it's fun. It's not even like a task or anything. So I enjoy that. But I do take time to make sure that within my schedule, it makes sense for me to do what I'm doing. I have a plan right now as far as how I'm attacking that plan and then going and executing that. So that's I guess, in a sense, my secret sauce is looking for that harmony, and understanding the give and take, right? Sometimes you're just going to have to put a task off. And then, work on that task slowly to get to there. But I can say that the Navy doesn't allow you to take any time off as much, I'm saying. But no, I get things done as best as I can. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure other people will understand that as well.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think we all struggle in our careers in general, not just military careers, with finding, balance or harmony and prioritizing and doing all the things that we believe are important. So going back to Act Now education, what have been some of the common challenges that you've seen with military members? Let's talk specifically about transitioning military members for a second. What's been some of the things that some of the challenges, and how have you been able to help transitioning military members from an education standpoint?
That's a great question. So a lot of what we see when I do my one-on-one calls with people, because I do a one-on-one coaching through Veterati, all the stuff that we do is free. Act Now education. We don't charge service members anything. So just so that's out there. But a lot of what we see is we focus on, in the military, we focus on learning our jobs. And once we get good at our jobs, we start putting ourselves in positions or getting in positions to where we're managing others and helping others, right? And then training others. The thing is, when you're transitioning out, right, if you're an NCO or, a leader, it's kind of hard for you to now adjust for your transition to getting out the military. So focusing on the things you need to do. You've been leading up to this point, providing, guidance and direction, but essentially you've been off the path of leading yourself to how to get things done or what resources you need or making sure, because you're always looking after the team. You're always a part of the team, trying to make sure that everyone, your replacement, is learning what they need to know. So when I talk to military members transitioning, or even military spouses, one of the big things I see is networking. We don't do a good job at identifying opportunities to network. The easiest way to get from point A to point B is, have somebody help you gap that bridge and talking to someone that's already experienced that, being able to touch base with folks. So there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to that, right? The unknown of, okay, where I want to go, what my passions are, what type of job opportunity I want to get to. There's a study that says about, I want to say it's 58% of military, when they transition within their first job, within that first year, they end up leaving it. And that just goes to show, I think that the process is not thought out, right? You've planned a lot of things in your career, but you haven't planned out that transition process. And the process for transition, that's a mindset that you have to be prepared for, because you're going from something that's stable to something like, oh, this is my next chapter in my career. How am I moving? What are the things I can do? And so there's a lot of programs and a lot of resources geared towards that. We just have to be able to take advantage of those and kind of put it together, what our plan is, how we want to move forward, and, some of the opportunities we can take advantage of.
Yeah, let's go back to you mentioned that one of the more important things that you highlight for people who are transitioning would be networking.
Yes.
What are some keys, especially for a young service member, maybe some of the more senior folks, have more connections, feel more comfortable joining different groups. But what's some advice for the 4 or 6 year enlistee or an officer that does just one or two terms and decides to transition on how to effectively network? It sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Talk about networking.
And believe me, I've spoken to anywhere from E4 all the way to 06 about transitioning. So it's a problem that's across all ranks. So some of the things that we need to focus on is okay, how to expand your network. The first thing that you may want to do is the LinkedIn account. Develop a LinkedIn account, put some information in there, right? Now, when it comes to transitioning or identifying opportunities, you got to think about it as this way. You have to understand where you want to go and what that looks like. So knowing what the organization's, mission statement and purpose is, speaking to someone, trying to be able to touch base with them so you can get a better understanding. So there are a few programs that can help you with that. Veterati is one of them. Veterati offers, there's a multitude of coaches there from different organizations that are trying to give back to the military community. So you can reach out to them and say, okay, you do project management. Can you tell me what the day in life of a project manager, representative is or a manager does? Or can you break down what I can expect to work at this company? So you have that resource. ACP, American Corporate Partners, is another great resource. And that's a 12-month mentorship. And a lot of people that I talk to, I highly recommend that they utilize that program, because it gets you resources and network that you may not have, especially if you're transitioning. You're like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor in my state or the state that I want to transition to or retire to. And so that helps you get the step ahead, because they're going to help you find a job or at least connect you with other mentors or other individuals that can give you answers. So those are key things to do. And then you have to think about it. Some of us, especially for those who are about to retire, haven't, done an interview in forever. So just imagine that process, right? You're like, or even if you've done 6 years, you might have not interviewed in 6 years. So there's things called informational interviews that you can work with organizations, connect with them, and hey, like Cantor's an organization that does informational interviews. They'll go through the screening process with you to tell you what you need to improve on, and that can help you guide yourself. But reach out to different institutions that you want to work for, or organizations you want to work for, and say, hey, would you mind doing an informational interview? And what that is they're just going through the process and emotions with you, and telling you kind of like, if you, based off of your desires, if you're a good fit, how this would work and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend to take advantage of those.
Yeah. I think, when it comes to transition and networking, period, like I mentioned before, it can be scary. I think, I learned sometimes you just find somebody that's, on the track that you want to be on, somebody that you consider successful, reach out to them and ask for, a cup of coffee to ask them questions. And I think most successful people, I think, will be willing to say, sure, absolutely, I'll be willing to sit down and talk to you, which might lead to a second cup of coffee, which might lead to a book recommendation, which might lead to a resource like Act Now Education, and so on and so forth. I wanted to talk to you about one of the challenges with specifically, you mentioned Air Force Cool, and I, worked a lot with the cool folks when I was in the Air Force. And, one of the challenges with Air Force Cool, and I'm not sure it's the same with Navy Cool, and Cool stands for Air Force Continuing.
Credentials Online. Yeah, Credentials Online.
Online, yeah. And it's basically a program that allows service members to use their experience that they already have in their military MOS or AFSC or rating to earn a certification. However, in the Air Force, you kind of have to stay within your certification is limited to we call it an Air Force Specialty Code. So if you're a truck driver, it's not as easy to go and get a certification in cyber or intel or something else that you might be interested in, because not everybody, drove trucks in the Air Force and then they want to drive trucks when they get out. So what advice would you have to the person in transitioning? They want to use the money set aside for AFCOOL, but they don't want to continue in the rating that they were in when they were in the service?
I would definitely tell them to join Act Now Education, because if you're not, say for instance, let's take the truck driver example. Let's say that the only thing that Air Force Cool is offering you is just that within your MOS. There are plenty of programs that provide tech opportunities. Vets in Tech, they provide certification for Security Plus, Network Plus, Cloud, Amazon, all for free. Sometimes they have like a nominal fee where you pay like $5 just to sign up, but essentially you'll get the certification and the exam for free. And so you don't necessarily have to worry about, if you want to do that transition, there's programs like that. Purdue University offers 3 certifications, cybersecurity certifications, up to 3 to 5, depending on your background. And so if you're trying to learn about cybersecurity and want to knock out different tracks, it's there. And all you have to do is sign up. There's no payment for that one. All you have to do is sign up. They have coaches on standby to help you get through the work. And it's a 6-month program, and it's all free. So it's Purdue Cybersecurity Program. And that's a partnership with 3 other schools in the government, sponsored by the National Science Foundation, to support the growth in cybersecurity. So there's opportunities out there. You just got to know about them. But just think about it in this perspective, even though your MOS doesn't necessarily, have maybe the credentials that you want to knock out, there's still other ones that you can knock out. So like you can knock out the 6 Sigma Black Belt, Green Belt, right, in leadership. You can knock out some managerial certifications so that you show that you have that type of background, so that's something that you can get done, because that's also available on the Cool program. So there's different options. It just really depends on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. But believe me, there's resources for majority of it. Yeah. So even if we can't get it from the military, there's a resource that can provide it for you just the same.
So, hey, here's the real answer. If you're trying to figure out any of that stuff, if you have questions like what I just asked, if you need to know anything about, how to improve your educational opportunities, join Act Now Education. That's the advice that I'm going to give people, because Jay and his team, they have the answers, man. And I just think this is just such a great opportunity that you have created for service members. And I also like the idea that you specifically mentioned spouses and family members as well. So good on you, man, for taking care of our service members and allowing them to continue, their educational journey. So.
Absolutely. And just so we could put this out there. So for anybody that's transitioning within a year or so, or anybody that's about to retire, military spouses or veterans, if you join the group, we'll get you a Coursera account. And so you can take advantage of certifications from Coursera. We're partnering with Coursera. If you go to Coursera.com and try to sign up, they charge. But if you come to the group, we'll be able to provide you an account for free so you can be able to take advantage of that and get access to those free resources. They have project management. They have Six Sigma Black Belt. There's over 60,000 courses, I believe. And then I think 50 different certifications, all for free. All you got to do is sign up, and then you can be off to the races, upskilling and learning as much as you want.
Yeah, free 99, man. You can't beat that.
Absolutely.
So tell me, Jay, you have 17 years in the Navy? Is that
18 now?
18
yes.
years in the Navy. So what's the future not only for you but for Act Now Education? So as you whenever you do transition out of the military, what will Act Now Education look like 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Hopefully it looks like what it's looking like now as far as the community, because a lot of, we have a lot of great people from different organizations that support it currently. And just being able to have that tribe, somewhere to belong to, somewhere where you can get the questions answered. That's what we're looking for. We would like to expand a lot more so we can work with other organizations to help get more free 99 stuff for the military community so we can take advantage of those. But our community in the next 5 years, we're focused on developing our website to make it a lot easier to find resources for the military community. And then we're also trying to identify ways to give back and continue to give back that's going to be impactful for those that need it or looking for those resources. So that's where I see the organization. And as far as me, I live by example. So I'm pretty much, when I start my transition process here in the next year or so, I'm going to go through all the lists. I have a checklist. We have a checklist of, what you should do when you're transitioning out, and has all the things anywhere from a 3-year to a 1 month out. And so I'll do that list and I'll highlight that and I'll talk about, pros and cons of everything that I'm doing, the programs that I'm signing up for, how beneficial they are, and to the direction I want to go. So I plan on using that as my transition as a highlight for people to be able to identify what it is that they may want to do or not.
Yeah, I like it, man. Attitude reflects leadership, right? So that is a wonderful thing. What's most rewarding to you, Jay, about this work that you're doing?
When I get the feedback, so I've been able to accomplish a lot in my career, and don't get me wrong, none of my accomplishments are like, but I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. None of my accomplishments mean as much to me as when I'm working with either a veteran or a military spouse, and I give them something or information that they can go take advantage of or find a job opportunity. That means the most to me when I've had people come back and say, Jay, I was able to, based off the information you provided me, I have a job as a teacher and now I'm doing this. Or I was able to knock out my certifications and now I work for this organization. So we've had, especially within my team, we've had folks transition, right? Not know which way or direction they're going to go. We had a few people end up in Microsoft, a few people end up in Amazon, a few people end up in Oracle. So it's the proof is in the pudding. It's there. You just make sure that don't do your transition alone. And definitely you want to make sure you get your family on board. Understand what resources out there, whether it be veteran benefits or or disability. Make sure you're aware of this. Don't wait till the last moment to kind of figure those things out. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out. That's what we're here for. Our community, I may not be able to answer every single question, but that's why we have a lot of good people in our groups to be able to address those questions. So I would say highly, highly take advantage of those programs. And then for those who are interested in identifying how best to transition, take advantage of a program like 4Block, Patriots Path. There's USO has programs of the USO Pathfinders. Make sure you take advantage of those programs to help you smoothing the process of your transition. I know it's rough trying to identify what's the next move, but do that work ahead of time. That way, when it's time for you to transition, it's smooth. And obviously, take advantage of SkillBridge. SkillBridge is a big deal. We had Boris Coons, who was a director on SkillBridge, on our webinars quite a bit. But that program is there to help you figure out those pieces for transitioning anywhere from 6 months down to 3 months. But take advantage of that program, identify where you want to work. I would throw out some recommendations. There's different organizations, but like a program like, and this is just an idea, but a program like Hire Our Heroes, they bring multiple companies to you, right? So if you jump on one program, you may do that program and realize this is not what I want it to be. But if you have an option between multiple programs or putting out multiple applications to see which options or what program best suits you, then that'll be a good way to look at it as well. So that's what I would recommend. And that's yeah.
Yeah, certainly some great advice, and I can see, how rewarding it could be, just making such a difference in the lives of people. When it comes to, because we've been talking specifically about transition, such a scary thing. It's scary when you're young. I think I can imagine. Had I decided to get out of the military after 4 or 6 years, maybe it would have been scary. But it's even scarier, man, at 20, and it's frightening at 32, right?
Yeah,
and so,
absolutely.
Having an organization, and because I see it every day, most of my colleagues are in that 25 to 30 plus year range when they transition, and man, and the hard thing about us is, we won't admit it, right? Because we've just been conditioned to just, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll be fine. I won't worry about it. But actually, you probably won't. So you need to call Jay and get your stuff together. So I'll be recommending, lots of my friends and colleagues and the young, service members and their spouses and family members, man, that I deal with to join up. And I'm actually going to join up myself, because I'm still, I got most of my education stuff done, but I'm still just always hungry for learning. And so I love to be a part of your community.
Absolutely. Lifelong learners, that's what we are. But that brings up a good point as well. All the resources that are available, especially with all the technology that we have, you can think about like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that wasn't the case, right? So it was difficult to transition then. In TAP class, you get a lot of information up front, but most of that stuff really doesn't stick well, or you're able to retain it. You get a week of knowledge, and then you're expected to plan it out for the rest of your career or your next chapter in life. So I would highly recommend, use different resources. We're not the only show in town, but we definitely are here to help. So just join different groups, find your tribe, ask questions. Don't be afraid to do any of that. And if anyone has any questions, you can find me on Veterati. I don't mind doing a one-on-one call, 30 minutes to kind of point you in the right direction and share everything that I've learned over the years.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure that everybody has access to your info, so they can get in touch with you, as well as being able to sign up for Act Now education. So again, man, just thank you. I want to really, really thank you for your service, for what you do with your business, Act Now education, and also for being an inspiration as a business owner. Because like I mentioned earlier in the discussion, many people have desires to, own their own business or to open up a business, but they don't know how to do it because, they have family commitments, because they're in the midst of their military career. And I think the message that I would say is, hey, look at a guy like Jay, who followed his purpose. He found something that he was passionate about, and he's living out his purpose in life, helping other folks with educational opportunities, with transition, which equates to success, not only in their careers, but in life. So, man, you doing it. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you again for joining us today. And let me give you the opportunity to, any last words that you might have for our audience about your organization or education in general.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. So one thing I would want everyone to get a mentor, regardless of what you're trying to do. I have business mentors. I have, thought mentors. I have spiritual mentors. make sure you get a mentor to help guide you, right? Because these folks have experienced some things, they know some things, and a bunch of programs that's out there. I love doing what I do. It's a passion that I fell into. If you don't know what that is, that's perfectly fine. But a mentor can help you find that. And if you have questions, like I said, please feel free to reach out. But you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Facebook. Facebook is where we have our group at, about 17,000 folks. And just get after it, man. If you want different results in life, you have to do different things.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Great advice. Well, hey, Jay, thanks again, man. Like I said, I really appreciate it. You joining us on the show, and I love to stay in touch. So again, I'll make sure that I have your information, you have mine, and we can stay on this journey together. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Airmen Helping Airmen. I am your CEO for Air Force Aid Society, Kaleth Wright. And joining us today, I just want to thank Jay Salters, who is the president, CEO, and founder of Act Now Education. And so if you hadn't already signed up after listening to this, man, shame on you, because this episode was just chock full of great information, and you'll be able to get lots more of really, really good information about transition and education programs when you sign up with Act Now Education. So, Jay, thanks again, and Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year to you too as well. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Airmen Helping Airmen, brought to you by the Air Force Aid Society. To find out more about how we make a difference, visit afas.org. And then be sure to search for Airmen Helping in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of everyone at the Air Force Aid Society, thanks for listening, and join us on social media.